in a palace where tradition weighs more than technology. One simple rule has sparked a storm. Prince George, heir to a centuries-old throne, still doesn't have a phone. School. Every friend has one. Online. Every headline whispers pressure. And behind closed doors, Prince William admits the truth. The debate is becoming tense. Is this discipline or a crack in the royal armor? Because sometimes the smallest decisions reveal the deepest struggles inside a family raised under the world's spotlight. Imagine being 12 years old and being the only kid in your entire class who doesn't have a phone. Everyone around you is texting, sharing memes, making plans on WhatsApp, and you're standing on the sidelines, explaining to your friends why your dad won't let you join the group chat. Now imagine your dad is the future king of England, and the entire world is watching. This isn't a hypothetical. This is Prince George's reality right now. And according to his father, Prince William, it's becoming a serious problem at home. Welcome back to Luminoir. Today, we're diving into one of the most relatable royal struggles we've ever seen. Because this isn't about crowns or castles. This is about parenting in the digital age. And even if you're destined to rule a kingdom one day, you're not immune to the battle every modern parent faces. The question of when to give your child a phone. Let's rewind for a moment. Let's talk about who Prince George really is. Born on July 22, 2013, George Alexander Louis came into this world under the brightest spotlight imaginable. He wasn't just a baby. He was third in line to the British throne the moment he took his first breath. His birth was announced with a golden easel placed outside Buckingham Palace. Crowds gathered. Cameras flashed. The world collectively held its breath. From day one, George's life was never going to be ordinary. But William and Catherine, the Prince and Princess of Wales, have fought tooth and nail to give him something close to it. They've shielded him from the media as much as possible. They've enrolled him in regular schools. They've tried to let him have play dates, birthday parties, football matches, all the things a normal kid should have. But here's the thing. Normal doesn't exist when you're royal. And it really doesn't exist when you're 12 years old in 2025. Because while Neon George is learning history and math and how to one day represent an entire nation, his classmates are navigating a completely different world. A world that lives on screens. A world where social connection happens through apps and group chats and endless notifications. A world that George, at least for now, is locked out of. And according to Prince William, that's causing some serious tension. In a recent conversation, William admitted that the decision not to give George a phone has become a, quote, tense issue in their household. He didn't elaborate much. He didn't need to. Every parent who's ever heard the phrase, but everyone else as one knows exactly what he means. Pause for a second. Think about what that must feel like. You're trying to protect your son. You're trying to keep him safe from the dangers of the internet, from cyberbullying, from the toxic comparison culture that thrives on social media. You know what's out there? You've seen what it does to people, to young people especially. But you're also watching your child struggle. You're watching him feel left out. You're watching him come home and tell you about conversations he wasn't part of, plans he didn't know about, jokes he missed. And you have to wonder, are you doing the right thing? William and Catherine aren't the first parents to face this dilemma. But they might be the most high-profile ones, and that adds a whole other layer of complexity. Because when you're royal, giving your child a phone isn't just about trust or maturity. It's about security. It's about privacy. It's about the very real possibility that one screenshot, one leaked message, one hacked account could become an international scandal. Think about it. George isn't just any 12-year-old. He's the future king. Every word he types could be scrutinized. Every photo he shares could be stolen. Every friend request he accepts could be a threat. The stakes aren't just high. They're astronomical, and William knows this better than anyone, because he lived through it. Let's go back to William's own childhood for a moment. He was born in 1982, long before smartphones existed. But he still grew up in a media circus. His mother, Princess Diana, was the most photographed woman in the world. Paparazzi followed her everywhere. They followed William and his brother Harry too. They camped outside their school. They chased their car. They turned their private lives into public spectacle. William has talked about how suffocating that felt, how invasive, how it robbed him of any sense of normalcy. And when Diana died in 1997, fleeing from paparazzi in a Paris tunnel, the dangers of that relentless attention became tragically, horrifyingly clear. William was just 15 years old when he lost his mother. 15. And he's carried that trauma with him ever since. It's shaped how he sees the media, how he protects his own children, how fiercely he guards their privacy. So when it comes to giving George a phone, this isn't just a parenting decision. It's personal. It's protecting his son from the same forces that destroyed his childhood, that took his mother away. But here's the cruel irony. By trying to protect George, William might be isolating him. And that creates a tension that no amount of royal protocol can solve. Catherine, the Princess of Wales, is right there with William on this. She's been vocal about the dangers of social media, especially for young people. She's championed mental health initiatives. She's spoken about the pressure kids face online, the comparison, the bullying, the constant need for validation. In one interview, she talked about how terrified she is of the digital world her children are growing up in, how she wishes she could shield them from it completely. But she also knows that's not realistic. At some point, George will have to navigate that world. The question is when and how. William and Catherine have set strict rules around screen time in their household. Their children, George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis, are allowed limited access to tablets and computers, and only for educational purposes. No social media, no unsupervised browsing, and definitely no phones. But George is getting older. He's more aware. He's starting to push back. Imagine the conversations happening behind closed doors at Adelaide Cottage, the family's home in Windsor. George sitting at the kitchen table, arms crossed, frustration written all over his face. "Dad, I'm the only one in my class who doesn't have a phone. Everyone thinks I'm weird." Sitting across from him, heartbreaking a little, trying to explain. "I know it's hard, George. But you don't understand the risks. You don't know what people could do with access to you. But I'm not a baby anymore. I can handle it. I know you think you can. But it's not about that." These conversations are happening in homes all over the world right now. But for the Waleses, the stakes are so much higher. Because George isn't just their son. He's a future king. And every decision they make about his upbringing is scrutinized, debated, criticized. Some people think William is being too strict, that he's holding George back from a reality he'll eventually have to face anyway, that by delaying the inevitable, he's only making it harder for George to learn how to navigate the digital world safely. Others applaud him. They see a father putting his child's well-being above societal pressure. A father who's learned from his own painful past and is determined not to repeat it. But here's what's really interesting. This debate isn't just about phones. It's about control. It's about how much freedom you give a child. It's destined for a life with very little freedom at all. George's life is already mapped out. He'll go to university. He'll train for military service. He'll take on royal duties. He'll eventually become Prince of Wales. And one day, many decades from now, he'll be king. His path is set. His choices are limited. So, in some ways, William withholding a phone is just another reminder of the control that will define George's entire life. And maybe, on some level, That's what makes this so tense. Because George is starting to realize that his life isn't entirely his own. And a phone? Something so simple, something every other kid has, becomes a symbol of everything he's missing. Let's talk about what the experts say. Because this isn't just a royal issue. It's a global parenting crisis. Child psychologists are divided on when kids should get their first phone. Some say wait until they're at least 13, when their brains are more developed and they can better understand consequences. Others say it depends on the individual child, their maturity level, their social environment, their need for independence. But almost everyone agrees on one thing. When you do give your child a phone, it needs to come with boundaries, parental controls, open communication, regular check-ins about what they're seeing and experiencing online. For George, Luce's boundaries would need to be even stricter. His phone would likely be heavily monitored. Certain apps would be blocked. His contacts would be screened. It wouldn't be the same kind of freedom his classmates have. And maybe that's part of William's hesitation. What's the point of giving George a phone if it's going to be so restricted that it defeats the purpose? But then again, maybe some access is better than none. Maybe it's about teaching George how to use technology responsibly. Gradually, while he's still under his parents' roof. Before he's thrown into the deep end as a young adult with no experience navigating these waters. It's a lose-lose situation. And William knows it. There's another layer to this story that we can't ignore. The public perception. Because William and Catherine's parenting choices are constantly under a microscope. Every decision is judged. Every rule is questioned. When they're too protective, they're called out of touch. When they're too lenient, they're accused of not taking their roles seriously. They can't win, and this phone issue is a perfect example. Some royal watchers think William is being unreasonable. They point to other young royals who've had phones and managed just fine. They argue that George needs to learn how to live in the modern world, and that includes technology. Others see William as a hero. A father standing up against a culture that's addicting kids to screens and destroying their mental health. A father brave enough to say no, even when it's unpopular. But here's the truth. William doesn't care what the public thinks. Not really. He cares about his son. And he's making the best decision he can with the information he has. Is it the right decision? Only time will tell, because eventually, George will get a phone. It's inevitable. The question is, what happens when he does? Will he be overwhelmed? Will he be unprepared? Or will William and Catherine's careful, gradual approach pay off? There's a bigger conversation happening here too. About childhood. About innocence. About what we're losing in this hyper-connected age. William has said in interviews that he wants his children to have a childhood. A real one. Not one that's curated for Instagram or documented on TikTok. He wants them to play outside, to get muddy, to be bored sometimes, to learn how to entertain themselves without a screen. And there's something beautiful about that. Something almost radical in today's world, because most kids don't get that anymore. Most kids are handed a tablet before they can even read. They're raised on YouTube and gaming apps and endless digital stimulation. William is trying to give George something different, something slower, something more human. And maybe that's worth fighting for, even if it's causing tension. Even if George doesn't understand it yet. One day, when George is older, he might look back and thank his father. He might realize that those years without a phone, those years of feeling left out, actually gave him something precious. A childhood that was his own. Memories that aren't stored in a cloud somewhere. Connections that were real, not virtual. Or maybe he'll resent it. Maybe he'll feel like he missed out. Like his parents held him back from a world everyone else got to explore. That's the gamble every parent takes. You make the best choice you can in the moment, and you hope it's enough. You hope your child understands someday. You hope they know it all came from love. For William, this decision is rooted in love. In trauma, yes. In fear, absolutely. But mostly in love. A father's desperate desire to protect his son from a world that can be cruel and invasive and relentless. And honestly, that's something we can all understand. Royal or not, we all want to keep our children safe. We all struggle with how much to shelter them and how much to let them explore. We all lie awake at night wondering if we're doing the right thing. Prince William might live in a palace, a tea, but in this moment, he's just a dad. A dad dealing with a tense issue at home. A dad trying to navigate an impossible decision. A dad hoping he's not screwing it all up, and maybe that's the most relatable thing about this entire story. Because at the end of the day, we're all just trying our best, hoping it's enough, hoping our kids will be okay. So what do you think? Is William right to hold off on giving George a phone? Or is he being too overprotective? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from parents out there navigating these same challenges. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the modern royal family, make sure to subscribe to Luminoir for more stories that explore the human side of fame, power, and everything in between.